Hey, what's up, guys? We're out here. Well, I'm out here at MetLife Stadium for today's Matt Bowers Auto Group pregame show. We got the Saints and the Giants playing each other, and it's kind of a battle for I don't know. I don't know, Mike. What's the battle for? It's like a battle for like a uh, to be the most supreme on supreme team. I don't really know what it is, but it's the Rizzy Bowl. I guess he's from out here. I don't really know. I don't really know
Look,
what the
I
stakes
got
are for this one, but they aren't very high. It's a battle for draft contention. I guess I don't know. I don't know.
I know, but neither team is pretending like they want it. It's funny. I was just reading our friend Jordan Ronan listing yet another injury that crept up on the Giants injury report last week. Yesterday, Cordell Flott, and like basically everyone who's good on their team is hurt or out or limited. Malik Neighbors is supposed to be limited, and I saw the first comment underneath his list of all the injuries was, and if this depleted team loses, the hotheads will again react explosively as though the result was so unwarranted that it requires punitive firings of everyone involved in managing and coaching this team. And I'm like, hey, it looks like they're going through the same season the Saints are going through.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. It feels like the Giants aren't trying to win in some ways, but I mean, I bet people are probably looking at the Saints kind of the same way,
Yeah.
even though they're giving everything to it. I mean, obviously, like you probably look at it and you say, well, like Chris Olave not coming back from a concussion and all that stuff, but um, my guy Pat Leonard said, as far as Neighbors goes, he said pregame workout. He said he might dress and not do a whole lot,
Yeah.
but they aren't expecting a whole lot from him today. So that kind of takes a little bit of wind out of sails here. I think at the top of my watch list, I wanted to see these corners against Malik Neighbors today, just because it's a real test, and you kind of want to see them get all that work that they can get. Because at the end of the season, when we're sitting down and it's January 14th or whatever it is, and we're talking about what the Saints need to do this offseason, I don't want us to be unsure
Yeah.
about what they have in these cornerbacks, and this is probably would have been the biggest test remaining maybe on the whole entire schedule. And you just want to see it. You want to make sure they're going through the fire a little bit. And if he isn't 100%, if he isn't playing, that kind of takes one,
Yeah.
out of there. So I don't know. It's kind of a little bit of a disappointment for me.
Yeah. Look, they have Wandale Robinson and Darius Slayton, two garden variety NFL receivers who've been around for a long time, but they've got Drew Lock starting at quarterback, and he's a big mystery for them too. So if the Saints do have success, we're going to say it was because, or there'll be an assumption that it was because of who they faced. If they don't have success in that game, that's a worrying spot.
Yeah, no question about it. Couple other things to keep an eye on today. I mean, I think it's a big thing that the offensive line is in full health. I think for the first time since week 3. Is it week 3?
Since the first series of week 3 before Eric McCoy went out. Yep.
Yeah. So it has been a long time since we've seen all those guys out there. Lucas Patrick's going to be on the field. You got McCoy at center, obviously. Cesar Ruiz back, both tackles. Kind of a interesting little subplot there too, because Alvin is 106 yards away from getting his first 1,000-yard season. He had 112 last week from the ground. I think they're going to probably have to run the ball a lot in this one to have a shot at it really winning. And I think it's going to be their priority in it, especially with them depleted receivers. So maybe a chance to get there today. You taking the over or the under on 106?
Yeah, I'm taking the over. The Giants, I'm looking this up while we're talking here. They rank 29th in the NFL in run defense. They're giving up 146 rushing yards a game this year, and that was when they had their best player, Dexter Lawrence, on the field, who is not on the field anymore. He's on injured reserve defensive tackle. The Saints should be able to play with a lead. They should try to run the ball. They should have a healthy offensive line. Alvin Kamara is awesome. If he can't get 106 today, I'd probably be a little surprised, to be honest. The only reason he doesn't is if he shares the load. We're also very fascinated to see what Kendry Miller can do. He is officially active for this game. Let's talk weather real quick, though, since you're there. Not that bad, right?
No, it's cold.
It's cold, but isn't it supposed to be like 50 during the day? Like shouldn't influence how the game is played, right?
No, not really. I mean, it'll probably, I took a walk this morning, and again, that was at like 8 o'clock. But it's, up here by noon, once the sun's out for a while, like it kind of changes how your perception of the day is. It can be, during the summer 70 during the day, and then 50 at night, like freezing. So
Yeah.
once that sun gets up, like it will warm up a little bit. But it was definitely, affecting my hands
All
the
right, all
outdoor
right.
the outdoor ATM. I had to pay the hotel shuttle shuttle to get over here. But yeah, I mean, like it was definitely like, damn, like this is really really cold. But yeah, I don't think it's really gonna, it's not gonna affect how the game's played. It's not gonna be, freezing, trying to figure out how to loosen up your hands. But yeah, I mean, if Derek Carr fires one in there, I wouldn't be shocked to see somebody drop a pass
Yeah.
today as they kind of adjust to it a little bit. It's definitely a thing. But yeah, you could get by with, a hoodie and a thermal shirt underneath, like if you really needed to. It's not bitter out, but it's definitely cold. I walked that top ring here. Anyone sitting outside today, if you got seats in the 300s, be ready because that wind is ripping through there,
Yeah,
and it
well,
is
that
freezing
that
up
was
there.
what I was
But
going to
down
say.
on field, not too bad.
15-mile per hour wind, so that's probably going to have as much effect as anything. That's not like game. That's not. I shouldn't say game changing. It could be game changing. I mean, 15-mile per hour wind is something to deal with for the kickers, the punters, and the quarterbacks in this game. It's not, it's not over 20, but 15 something.
Down on the field, it shouldn't be too bad though. I mean, this place is completely enclosed, that
Yeah,
lower ring, so it's tough for wind to get in there. It's not a stadium with a whole lot of character. It's kind of like the cookie cutter Madden default stadium. But yeah, like I'm looking at it right now. Those little orange flags on top of the post, they aren't moving at all. So I think it's just kind of the way this thing is set up. If you were in New England and they got that open end, like that wind rips through there. Through here, it's not too bad. So I don't think it's really going to be. I don't think weather's going to be a huge thing in this game. Derek Carr's down there, being the football tough guy, throwing passes, no sleeves on right now. Foster Moreau doing the same thing. Everybody else has hoodies, and Jake Hainer too. Got to show the guns. Can't let Derek out tough you. Everybody else has like hoodies and pants on and stuff though. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be a huge thing down there today. As far as Kendra Miller coming back, I did hear that he is expected to have a decent size role today. I don't think they're going to ease him back into it. I think people are expecting him to get a lot of snaps, but I'm gonna need to see it to believe it before I believe in that enough to like put him in my fantasy lineup for the playoffs. I know Rizzy doesn't have a doghouse, but like we talked about on Friday, like we need to find out if Kubiak has a doghouse and how he feels about that. So we're gonna see on that, but I think he's gonna come out here and have a pretty big role, and I think he needs to, man. Like I don't think that you can shy away from
yeah,
that today, given what you are without. And the last time he came back, it was driving me nuts how slow they brought him back. Just put him out there and let him run.
yeah. Look, and I think it's part of Rizzy's sort of like culture building is to give second chances to guys and to say, hey, the clean slate stuff. I think he really means that, and I think he's going to want to demonstrate that. I mean, this is up to Clint Kubiak and how the game's playing along, but I not only do I think they won't hold back on him, I think they're going to probably be interested in sort of making a statement by having him inject some life into this team. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if he's good. You made a fantasy comment. I wouldn't put him in my fantasy lineup either, but as we talked on Friday's show, if you missed it, especially if you're in like some kind of a keeper or dynasty league, go check. I'm in a keeper league where like nobody is available, and Kendra Miller's just been ignored in every league. I picked him up and put him on my bench. Like he's auditioning to be a real part of this team next year over these final 5 weeks. He's one of the. I wrote a story earlier this week about if all you care about is 2025, here's the guys to watch. He was definitely on that list.
Yeah, I picked him up too. No, nobody was trying to stash him or anything like that. So kind of interesting there. I'm looking at Dallin Holker down here right now. I mean, hold on, let me get a better look at him. He looks like a guy that's gonna. I don't know. He looks like he's warming up. It looks like he's warming up. Like
Yeah, I
he's
was trying
gonna.
to figure out the last two inactives. There's going to be a couple guys who
He's
aren't usual suspects this week, so I was trying to figure out who it'll be.
Hold on, I'm not trying to be like a weirdo on the binoculars on the stream, but yeah, he's taped up, man. He's playing.
All
Like
right.
that's the tell. That's always the tell before a game. If someone has tape on, like they are playing. He's gonna play.
Maybe
He's
I
gonna
did
play.
math wrong on the inactives. I've got 5 names. Every like they came in with a fully healthy roster because they already put Taysom Hill and Nick Saliveri on IR, and they signed Kendra Miller off IR, and they signed Kevin Austin and Dante Pettis. So I mean, some of the usual suspects will be obvious inactives today. I think Mason Tipton, probably Jordan Mims again. Uh, um,
Ford.
Jalen Ford, Christian Boyd, and Spencer Rattler, the rookies. So maybe did they only need 5? I think they need 7. So I'm curious who else. Like Oli Udoh would be their 8th offensive lineman. I think they like to have 8 up. So a little curiosity, but it'll be 7 healthy names when we announce the inactives today. There's nobody we're really waiting to find out about. I guess Jamal Williams was listed as questionable. And so it's possible they keep Jordan Mims up and put Jamal Williams down, but I wouldn't expect that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think I think we're done seeing Tipton this year, huh? Like that's probably the end of it. Pettis and Kevin Austin have really passed him
taking
up
advantage of that opportunity.
They they brought those 2 up. Is it only 5 this week?
They signed those guys 2 full-time spots and put 2 guys on IR, so even swap, and then they added Kendre Miller and they cut Kyle Hergel, so even swap. So
did they do any practice squad elevations?
No.
So it'll only be 5, right?
So it's 5. Okay, I
yeah,
know who
it's
the
only
5
5
are
this
then.
week. Okay,
All right.
yeah.
I
So,
never know the
it's probably
rules.
The 5
I
you
never
just-
know the
it's
rules.
Probably, it's
I
probably the 5
never.
you just said.
I've only been doing like ever since COVID. I've never been able to do the math. Yeah, so Mason Tipton, Jordan Mims. These are guesses: Jalen Ford, Christian Boyd, and Spencer Rattler. That's the most likely candidates.
So yeah, there you go. That's probably the 5.
Yeah, we
I'm trying to
expect
see if I
to
see neighbors out there.
oh yeah, scouting the opponent. He's the most interesting when it comes to the inactives. How much Kendre Miller will play is interesting. I mean, Kevin Austin and Dante Pettis, they used up all their elevations, so they have officially become members of the team, signed contracts. For Kevin Austin, that was actually something that he said earlier this week meant a lot to him. I mean, this is a guy who he was with the Jaguars a couple years ago, had to go the UFL route, came to camp, didn't make the team. This is the first time he's officially made an NFL roster this week. So maybe he'll be feeling good. He already had 4 touches last week and played pretty well. Could be a sneaky guy that has a big game today.
I'm looking. Yeah, I don't see him out here yet. There's just a handful of guys, and they all look way too short to be a league neighbor. So we'll see if he comes out here at some point. I'm guessing the inactives are going to hit before we see him out there. So yeah, I don't know. There's I see a video of him on Twitter coming into the building. Looks like a guy that's going to try to play in the video, but yeah, we'll see. So yeah, kind of a weird game here, man. Like it forward looking, beyond the cornerbacks. Is there anything that you kind of got circled that you're trying to see over these last couple of weeks, just as far as future of the team? I know you did the story this week.
Yeah.
Is there anything that stands out?
Yeah, I mean, the first 2 guys on my list were Talifuaga and Trevor Penning. And look, that's been true since week 1, so that's not really different now that we're midway through, or, in December 9th. But those guys, look, we need to know. I think Talifuaga has to be one of their 5 best players going into next season, and Trevor Penning, it's is he a starter going into next season? So far, they're both trending in that direction. They're both still a work in progress, but I would like to see those guys be the 2 guys we feel best about over the last 5 weeks of the season. Those 2 and the 2 corners, I think, are the 4 guys that would make you feel like there's at least some foundation on this team. The other thing is more about this season than next season, although they're going to have to make major changes throughout these groups. Where's the run defense? Is there any chance the run defense can show up today? Because the Giants are going to come in here. They've got their rookie running back, Tyrone Tracy, averaging 5 yards a carry. They're going to want to run the ball with him. They're not going to want Drew Lock to have to win this game. The Saints are going to want to make Drew Lock have to win this game and try to get to him. If they just let Tyrone Tracy and the New York Giants run all over him, I mean, I think all is lost with that part of their team.
I think the run defense is just kind of cooked. Like I don't think he's going to get it. I think it just kind of
show some pride though, or something.
yeah, it's like do something, like throw a punch if you got to, like just show you care a little bit. But yeah, I think it's kind of cooked, man. I don't think they really got a chance of getting that back on track this year. I think they just got to get better players overall. But yeah, if there was something, I guess specific within that, like if Brian Brzee found a way to just get up to adequate run defender or plus from what he is right now, that would be a big thing, I think, overall. Future bound. Otherwise, you got to start looking at him like, I don't know, is he a pass rushing specialist, and do you have to look for a 3-down DT somewhere else? Because like right now, I don't think he's a great 3-down DT. I still believe he has the potential to be that, but that run defense element, it just really hasn't elevated the way you'd like to see it. The corners really are kind of a top tier thing to me because they do like they feel like the players that have the most ability to decide whether there's a need or not. And right now, it looks like a massive need to me. Another cornerback. I don't feel comfortable with this group overall going into to next season if we don't see more down the stretch. Maybe you bring back a Debo and try to do it on the cheap. And his situation is going to be fascinating too.
Yeah.
Is he a cheap 1 year or because of the injury or not? But right now, corner looks like a huge need to me. There's really not a whole lot of other guys that I feel like
There's
are
one for
young
me.
and can stop. What is it?
Oh, well, it's not at corner, but I'm fascinated to watch Chase Young over the last 5 weeks. I mean, whether he's going to be a part of the Saints' future or not, he should be on like an NFL list of the 10 most interesting players to watch in December. Like, he stayed healthy, which was the biggest question mark about him. He hasn't missed a snap this year, but I think he can kind of make an extra 30 million with a monster December. Like, as of right now, I think he'd get a very modest contract. If he gets 4 sacks over the last 5 games, I think he could double the size of his contract. I mean, it's really like he's that type of player that if he puts if he has like Derek Carr's December from last year, I think teams would sell themselves on it. He's another guy that could show maybe he could be a part of this run defense. He absolutely has to be a more effective pass rusher. There is so much on the line for him. He's still 25 years old. If he doesn't do anything else more special, maybe he stays in New Orleans because nobody else pays him. I feel like somebody else would always pay him more than the Saints since everyone else has cap money. But I feel like the difference between what his contract could be based on how he plays in December is actually sneaky massive.
Yeah, I think that's probably the truth. I wouldn't want to be the team that
Yeah,
that pays
exactly.
it. Who is going to be the Saints would end up selling themselves on it, and they go, well, like if we get better players on the line around him, he'll be better and be more consistent and everything. That's that's how it's going to play out.
Yeah.
And then next year it's going to come back and he's going to be the same exact guy because he's never really changed his stripes. He's really never changed his stripes. I feel like this is his most down season. Having a monster December will get him back on track. But you're right, it's a position where people overpay all the time based on scarcity. And if he gives somebody a reason to sell themselves, they will sell themselves on it. So yeah, there is a very real material upside to it. Alvin just came out here running the length of the field. I kind of want to see him get the 1,000. It's very weird to me that he's never had a 1,000-yard season.
I know.
Like watching it, like obviously, like, but from a distance, he's one of them guys. Like if you weren't paying close attention to the Saints, you'd probably be like, "What the hell?" Like he's never gotten to 1,000 yards before. And obviously, the dual threat and all that stuff. Like, what's that actually mean? Nothing really. But he feels like a guy that should have a 1,000-yard season. I would have not bet on him getting the first 1,000-yard season of his career on the brink of turning 30 years old, though. I would have guessed that was over. But here he is, and he's about to do it.
This is his 5th year getting at least 880, though. So he's been in that little pocket his whole career. He's also almost certainly going to have the most attempts of his career. They're using him different, and that's been one of the best things about Clint Kubiak. And here, let's put Clint Kubiak on the list of guys we need to watch over the next 5 weeks. I don't think he can do enough to influence the head coaching decision. If, like I said, if the offense is so good that the Saints finish 7-1, maybe they say run it all back, bring back Rizzi, bring back Kubiak, bring back all that. I doubt there's any situation where there's a mandate, but maybe there are some head coaches. Aaron Glenn's a defensive guy. Vance Joseph's a defensive guy. If they were to hire a defensive coach like that, they might say, shoot. I love what I saw from I love what I saw from Clint Kubiak and that staff. I want them and what they did for Derek Carr, and I want them all back next year. Like there are possibilities, and if it's not New Orleans and they end up overhauling their entire coaching staff, he's going to be one of the 12 guys hoping to get hired as an offensive coordinator somewhere around the league next year. So I think he's done well. I think everything but the Spencer Rattler games have been a plus for this offense. I thought last week was a little bit of a step back, though, when they didn't really have any answers as that game wore on. I think it's been a negative trend for this offensive staff that they're worse in the second half than they are in the first half. So he's got a lot to prove over these last 5 weeks, too, but he can make a pretty strong statement.
My only thing to that is if they're hiring a head coach who does not have an offensive coordinator in pocket, I feel like that's a bad sign for the head coach. Like it kind of
Yeah.
feels like you're getting the Mayo, who's kind of going out there and it's like, well, we're going to scrape together
Yeah.
a staff because nobody believed in me enough to like tie into hey, we're building a staff and this is how we're going to do it. Like that's what you want. You want to be able to get one of them staffs where it's a group of people that have been talking about it, planning it, putting
Yeah.
it together. I've actually sat in on one of the meetings of a group that was like trying to put together their future staff at the combine. Like, and it was a bunch of guys, somebody that was planning, looking to be a GM, and he was kind of putting together his staff. And like, man, it was so detailed that they had a cop guy there, they had a head PR guy there, and like I sat in there and like watched this thing. Like that's what you want, and like that's what everybody's doing. Hey, when you get a job, I'm coming
Yep.
with you. Like there's people putting together their staffs for years and years. If you don't have that OC, like I would feel uncomfortable with. It means you haven't gotten like one of the best head coaches
That's
on the
fair.
market, and they probably won't. They probably won't. But you still want somebody that has enough belief in him that there's 5 to 7 people who are saying, you know what, I'm with this guy and I'm going with him, and we're gonna go do this. It wouldn't feel great. I think Kubiak has done a good job though. I think he's had very tough circumstances against him. He's never talked about them circumstances, but we've obviously seen him. I think he's good. I think it'd be fine if you kept him. Like I wouldn't be against that. I just would feel I'd be looking at the head coach a little bit funny if he didn't have his own guy. But yeah, I mean I think it's hugely important for him. I mentioned this maybe to you guys. I don't know where I said it, but I was asking around about kind of what the temperature is on him, and it was like a 50-50. Like he'll be a pass game coordinator next year, or no way, he'll be an
Yeah.
OC again. There's usually 10, 12 people getting fired from them jobs, 12 people getting hired. There's going to be a bunch of 5, 6 head coaches, bunch of OCs fired. So he'll probably get it. I think he'll probably get a shot at being an OC again somewhere, but I don't know if he'll be. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if he's like coveted at the top of that list because it will be like his. He's had 2 official roles as an OC, 3 times as a play caller. The next job's his 4th shot at it.
Yeah.
Those staffs have been wiped out twice. Like it's really not his
Right.
doing, and this one getting wiped out, I don't really feel like it's his fault. But yeah, definitely a huge, huge, huge audition for him. A huge audition for the whole coaching staff, honestly, because every single one of these people, if they clean house, are going to have to be looking to get jobs.
Okay.
It's not just Kubiak. It's Mike Hodges, it's Rizzi, it's Phil
Mhm.
Galliano, it's Andrew Janoko. All of them, like all of them, are going to be looking for jobs next year. So yeah, massive, massive audition down the stretch for this coaching staff. They obviously are never going to give up because they're all fighting for their future right now a little bit.
A couple of things, yeah, and that's just an example of when people want to tank. Like, how many people are like, no, my entire career is on the line based on how well I do. Even if we only win 7 games, it means a lot to me. But a couple things on Kubiak. One thing that we liked about Kubiak from the very beginning in February and all throughout training camp, when we saw the way that staff was so coordinated, he had that staff you were just talking about. Like the head coach said, "These are my guys." Kubiak had my guys, and I think that would be attractive too. If Rick Dennison and John Benton and Andrew Janoko go with him wherever he goes, I think that makes him more attractive. He's got like his team together. That is an impressive group. And just to be 100% fair to him, this is only his 2nd time as an offensive coordinator. He was the passing game coordinator in Denver. He just became the interim offensive coordinator there when when Nathaniel Hackett got fired.
That's what I said. Second time officially, third time.
Yeah,
third time as a play caller. Yeah.
But yeah, I think he'll be in demand. I'd be surprised if he's not an offensive coordinator in the NFL. The only question is whether it's here or not. And I mean, it's hard to say it's here. We just saw an effective example of it in Carolina. That Ejiro Evero, who was their defensive coordinator and is still being mentioned as a potential head coaching candidate, he stayed there even after Dave Canales got hired, just because Dave Canales is like, yeah, this is one of the best defensive coordinators available. I'll take him. But your point is absolutely true that you want someone who says, no, I've got my guys. We've been playing on this for years.
Yeah, and I think Canales is one of them guys that was kind of a reach though too.
Yep.
He wasn't a guy that was
sure.
coveted, that was you're necessarily looking at. He had to take the worst job in the league
Yep.
to become a head coach.
He did.
So yeah, I mean, I think he was a guy that a lot of people probably weren't ready to tie themselves to, because I don't think he had necessarily like fully QB coach 1 year as OC. I don't know, like it felt like a little bit of a reach. So hopefully you're aiming a little bit higher than that. And I don't necessarily think he's a bad coach. I just think it was early for him. So
yep, for sure.
yeah, I mean, kind of kind of fascinating to see that one there. How you feel about the game today? I mean, I would be really surprised if they don't win this one.
It
It feels
reminds
like I
me
said, it feels like the Giants aren't trying to win.
It reminds me of the Carolina game that got Dennis Allen fired. I mean, like there's low and then there's extra low. And it's like there's nothing much for the Saints to gain today. There's so much for them to lose. I mean, I don't know what our jobs are going to be like over the next 4 weeks. Like we can't even pretend to talk about anything mattering if the Saints don't win this game. Nothing kind of matters anyway, but it does bring Rizzy to 3-1, and then Washington's coming to town with the chance for Rizzy to go to 4-1. Like if you lose to this Giants team that has lost 7 straight games, that's lousy, that's on their 3rd string quarterback, that just put their best player on IR, that maybe their 2nd best player is limited if he plays at all today. If you lose to this team, it's like it's officially over. It's like, pulling the plug off the life support machine if you lose this game. So they better win it, and they better make it look like it was kind of easy too, to be honest.
Look, I'm sorry to say this. I mean, like I'm not a Saints employee. I don't play for the Saints. I don't care if they win or lose. My future isn't
Yeah,
tied to it. It's better if they lose. I think it
yeah,
would be
yeah.
better if they lose.
I
I
understand
want
that.
them to lose. I want them to lose games not because they aren't making the playoffs. Like I want them to lose
Yeah,
game. I want them to lose this one. I want them to lose the next two. Um, it's just kind of the hope factor of it is
yeah,
kind of evaporated for me. Now, grant if they go on a 3-game winning streak here, like my tune changes a little bit. Obviously, at that point, if they beat the Giants, the Commanders, and the Packers, but I don't see that playing out like that. And right now they're 9th in the draft pick order, and winning a game could move you up to like 14th by the end of the night or
yeah,
something like that, depending on how it looks. That's the worst case scenario is to be a team, picking low and not making the playoffs and having to replace your coach and all this stuff. So yeah, I mean, like if they found a way to lose this game, it would really help
yeah.
their
Of course.
draft stock. But I don't think they will. I think they're going to win it. And then we'll kind of see where it goes from there. Right now, they'd be picking 9th, and man, I really hope they have a top 10 pick at the end of this
I know.
season. Like suffering through this to pick 14th, like would be
I get,
terrible. Like
and
it's not a
unfortunately, I
good
think
place to
that's
be.
what's going to happen. Unfortunately, I do. Yeah, I mean, obviously, from a fan standpoint, it's a no-brainer. That is what you should want. Um, I saw a comment. I think Demario Davis was a guest on NFL Network or ESPN earlier this week, and he was just saying things that like you almost want to roll your eyes at, but you know that he believes it, and you know they believe it in the locker room. Like we're gonna have our best stretch of the season over this last month. We're gonna treat it like we're in the playoffs, like all those things, and it's just like what I was saying is like they can keep saying those things and they can even kind of keep believing those things. I think that's how Derek Carr feels. I think that's how Demario Davis and Cam Jordan feel. This would just take all the mirage out of that out of the way. If you can't beat the Giants right now, I think they'll even stop talking like that. I think they'll play out the string if they don't win this game today.
Yeah, I think the buy-in would really dissipate
Yeah,
quite a bit. Kind of a weird little thing. They came up here a day early for reasons I'm not fully grasping at. Like you can't sell me on acclimating to the weather because it's been cold in New Orleans too. It was basically like the same temperature in New Orleans as it was here yesterday. It felt the same. But yeah, they came up a day early. We'll see how that affects things if that helps them win this game today or not. The inactives today:
yep,
Spencer
the
Rattler,
exact ones
Jordan
we
Mims,
said.
Jalen Ford, Mason Tipton, Christian Boyd. So those are the 5 that are out today. That's going to do it for us on the pregame show. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We got all your coverage during the game, the live blog. Make sure you're watching the game with us there. We'll be posting everything as we see it there. A little bit more on there than you'll find on social. So keep it locked there. After the game, we'll have all the analysis that you always get. And then later tonight, we will be back with the pregame show that'll go out live for NewOrleans.Football members tonight. General release will be tomorrow. Appreciate you guys joining us for this pregame show presented by Matt Powers Auto Group. We'll talk to you next time.